and welcome to Epiphytic Cacti. Today I figured we would take a look at these kind of DIY plant shelves that I've created here. You can see them in my window, and I have all these little Rhipsalis pots here, these small Rhipsalis growing. I have a lot of these in the house. So I've got some in the window behind me. They are in my living room windows, they're in my office windows, they're in my bedroom windows. And I generally have a lot of like small Rhipsalis like this or small Schlumbergera. So a couple of things, particularly about the Schlumbergera, is that I kind of like this setup because it keeps those Schlumbergera kind of close to the colder windows. I live in Minnesota, it snows. I think we can see some snow out there on the ground. Here, right there, we can see that there is snow if you look underneath the stand. What it does is it kind of gives them the opportunity to kind of bloom more than just one time indoors. They'll bloom a little bit later because of that little bit of chill from the windows. You don't want their clades touching the windows. You don't want them too close to the windows. So you can see that the way that these were organized, that they are actually organized to keep the branches not touching the window. But you can also get a lot of plants on them. We can see that there's a plexiglass sort of shelf here that's created. Now there's two kinds that I've done. I've done the clear plexiglass and I've done the green-tinted plexiglass. I like them both. I think they're both really beautiful. And then you'll see that I have these white chains. And so I created this kind of setup with these white chains to make it so that they would hang and so that they were quasi-adjustable. They're quite heavy, particularly because these planters that I have are not plastic, they are ceramic. I have them attached with multiple different kinds of hooks at the top so that it's nice and sturdy. Originally, I meant to only have the chains holding them on both sides, but the plexiglass was still bendable, so I ended up running one in the middle. And it actually worked out well, and I kind of like it a little bit more now, but initially that was not the design that I had. Got these were large acrylic sheets, and this one is actually cut down to be one of the shelf sizes, but these large acrylic sheets, I got them from Home Depot in the United States, and they were 30 inches by 36 inches by 0.220 inches. So that's the thickness on these. And like I said, like it's pretty thick. It's not terribly thin, but you can see that when I'm pushing down on it, I am getting it to bend. So hence there would have been 2 more holes drilled here, and then I would have had the chains going through. You can see that these are the chains that I got, and I got like the full, I don't know what they're called, I guess the full spool. That's what we'd call it if it was sewing. The full spool of chains. And how I kind of did this then is that I had this rather large, it's like a 48-inch drywall T-square, and I used that to cut these sheets. And I used an acrylic or plexiglass cutter. And the way this looks is basically like this. And what you do is you actually score it. Now you have to be really careful about scoring it. Like you have to score the sheet down the side like this, and then you have to make sure you go all the way down the other side, get all the way to the ends. And I scored these many, many times over before then kind of standing on something and breaking. Because you kind of break it, you snap it off. That's what I used this ruler for, was that. And honestly, I just kind of measured it down the other side. These are 4 inches. I was basically able to get 9 individual shelves off of this. So it would have been 9 30-inch shelves. All these things are sharp. This is sharp. The sheets are sharp, especially when you cut them and you break it. It is glass. You can cut yourself, and I did cut myself more than once. So one of the fair warnings about this is that if you want these inside, especially if you have like children, small animals, any of that, you are going to have to get a sander, and you are going to have to sand these sharp edges down, because when you cut them, it's definitely sharp and you will definitely cut yourself. So it's kind of a lot of work from that perspective. And then these holes, how these holes were drilled in here is I just have kind of a normal drill bit that I would start with. So I would start with this drill bit and then drill just far enough away from the edge so that I knew that it wasn't going to break. So that there was probably about, there's probably about a half an inch away from the edge on each side of these holes. So I would drill a starter hole like that on all of the edges and then down the middle. And I would use the ruler to do that kind of thing, just to make sure that you want to make sure that they are all even so that your shelves hang evenly. And then after that, what I would use is one of my favorite kinds of bits. This is a Forstner bit. And so the Forstner bit, you can see here, there's a whole set of these Forstner bits here. And the one that I was using was the 1/2 inch Forstner bit. So what you do with that then is you put it's got like this little tip on it. So you can see it's got that little sharp tip that's on there. That goes in the pre-drilled hole. And then you just drill with this. And the only real catch to this is making sure that it is vertical. So you really want to make sure that you're vertically going straight down like this, that you don't angle it in any way, shape, or form. Now the catch to this plexiglass, this will heat up and it will actually melt the plastic, especially if you do a lot of holes one right after another. And so that's kind of a thing that you can honestly, the plastic, once it's melted, it just kind of snaps off, but it is hot. If you touch it, you can get burned. Make sure you wear safety goggles. Make sure you wear protective gloves, like leather gloves, when you do this, because there are a lot of dangers there. But here's what I did. I got this special tool that happens to sit next to those to actually cut these chains. And so I would cut a long chain like this, basically to sort of be the hanging chain, the top chain. And then I would cut shorter chains like this, which would actually be the distance between each shelf. So I would individually use like a kind of a plier or some kind of a thing, some kind of a tool to actually just push from the inside here to push these apart so that I could break one off. And I will do one of those right now. So this is the tool, actually, this special cutter. And I don't think it costs too terribly much, but it honestly just kind of slices right through these quite easily. So you can basically just kind of put it there, boom, it cuts right through it, and then you can cut those to length, right? So that's how those were cut. All right, so what we'd use is like a big crescent wrench like this to actually put those apart. And so it would just kind of go in here like this. And then I would actually just go like this to spread it apart and then just get one of those out of there like that. So not too bad. So then what would happen is for these is you'd basically take one of these and you would thread it through there. I'd use the same crescent wrench to actually go like this and push those down so there's no longer a gap. And then to hold the shelves, you can basically thread it through there and see it catches. And so that again, you would take one of these, you would get it off of there. You know, you would put a new one here, attach another one on there, thread another shelf through. So that's really how the shelves are actually being held together that way. So it's really kind of a fun project, and I really like it because it creates kind of a nice shelving in the windows because the plexiglass is see-through. So it kind of looks like the pots are floating, and it's a really pretty kind of appearance. So if we go back to the pots here, there you go. You can see what I mean again. Because of the glass, it looks like they're floating and it lets a lot more light through. So it tends to be a lot less cluttered looking, especially for someone who has a lot of plants. And people have asked me before, I really love white planters. I really like all white planters because I feel like what they do is really kind of display the greenery of the plant to its full potential. That's why I like them. So I think green planters, you know, they just kind of blend in with the plant, and it's kind of a thing because you don't really see the plant fully. And so I feel like with the white planters, there's tons of contrast to really truly see the plants. So these planters, these right here, you can see they've got this single drainage hole. I believe that these are succulent planters that I just buy off of Amazon. Again, they're ceramic. They come in packs of 6 or 8. They usually come with kind of this ugly wooden like stand here that they sit in. It's super non-functional and it just immediately kind of rots, and it's really not a great catcher for the water to begin with. So I didn't really like the things that they were in. So then I would actually get these little dipping bowls. These you can get huge packs of. Be warned a little bit though, because on more than one occasion when I ordered these, I got the wrong thing. I got either smaller saucers or even on one occasion, a completely wrong kind of dish. So be cautious when you order these. But they do come in really large packs. So I think I got like packs of like 20 or 30 of these little dipping dishes here. And the pots just fit so nice in there, and then it just kind of nicely catches the water, so it makes watering super easy. So I can just use this kind of watering can. I like this kind of watering can. It's actually a Bonsai watering can. I like the long spout. I like that it's narrow like that because it's really controlled. So I like to use this kind of watering can to basically just kind of go down the line and water all of the pots in the window. It's super quick and it's super easy, and it has proven to be really kind of a time saver and really efficient for me. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video on how I did this plant shelving. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy cacti growing.